Welcome back everyone. It's been a minute since I've talked about pretty much my favorite Nintendo Switch games that are for free. So here are some of my favorite Nintendo Switch games that are for free in 2021. Now I will leave the full list, probably linked down below. If I forget, you can follow through this video. But all of these are for completely for free. There may be some in-game purchases or whatever. On top of that, some of these games are pretty massive, so maybe you want to pick up like an extra micro SD card or something like that. I'm not too sure. If you want to pick one up, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there, help support the channel at the same time. Now the very first game that I want to hit on, which is a pretty big game, is called Warface. Now this is a pretty popular game. Almost every single, time a, Nintendo Switch free games list is always, made. This is one of those games that's always talked about, and it's a pretty good game in general. So first of all, it's pretty much a first person, type of shooter game, and there's tons of different maps, there's tons of different arenas, and it's multiplayer. So you can go ahead and join any type, there's 50 different multiplayer maps within this game, and it's a pretty good game. First of all, graphics wise, the graphics in this game are pretty good, and for a free game, it really showcases a lot of what the future could be for different types of free games on the Switch. It's already been out for quite a bit of time, and it makes me kind of excited about the Switch Pro, of exactly what that specific console is going to bring. Now it's kind of like a Call of Duty kind of Halo game. It's kind of like a combination of both. The maps are great, the weapon selection is great, and if you want to play on multiplayer mode, you have the ability of doing so too. So the only downside of this game, from my opinion, is that it's a massive game, 9.5 gigabytes just to download. So make sure you have, a decent download speed, and also the storage on your device. And even on my Switch Lite, when I played it on, even though the screen isn't as big, I was still getting a really decent, type of, gameplay from that type of device too. So either or, you're going to be getting a solid gameplay from this device, 100% of a fact. So that's the very first game I would hit on. It's called Warface. Now the second game that I've seen talked about over and over and over again, and I think in 2019 I did my first free games list for Switches, and this was one of those games that I talked about, and it was called Arena of Valor. Now this game is kind of like a tower defense and kind of like a RuneScape type of game. I don't really know what the best type of example to kind of lay on it, but this game for sure is another one of those solid games. Now for it being free, I'm pretty surprised. The size of this game is 2.9 gigs, so it's not like a massive big game, but it's also not like a super small 100 megabyte game that I've talked about before, with Color Zen or something. This game is a solid game, and for the fact that you're getting this much type of gameplay from this type of device is really cool. So pretty much, it's a MOBA game. If you know what those are, then you know what they are. And pretty much there's different types of things that you have to kill. You can upgrade your weapons. You can go ahead and kind of go through there, and it's completely free to play. But on top of that, you can also play with your friends as well. So you can team up with your friends. You can kind of create, groups within the game, and then kind of attack other things in the game too. And this is honestly another type of great game. The graphics on this are really good as well. The gameplay was awesome. There's tons of, unlockable things within this game too. So this is another solid game that I would recommend if you want. It's not even that big of a game, so you can go ahead and download this game and probably have it in your arsenal of games for free. So that's another awesome one for sure. Now the third one that I honestly have loved, it's kind of like a cute game a little bit, is called Pokémon Quest. Now this one, I'm sure a lot of you may already know about this one. There is a lot of, downloadable extra, things that you can pay for in the game, but you don't necessarily have to pay for them to get started. But that is one thing I wanted to say out the gate. Now this game honestly is not a humongous game. It's 272 megabytes, so it's not like a massive game, but it's honestly pretty cool. So first of all, it's kind of I don't really know what the best example of this type of game is, but you can go ahead and kind of, attack enemies, build out your Pokemon a little bit better, build out your map, and it's kind of like an open world kind of thing, but a little bit smaller for your specific Pokemon that you're going to go ahead and kind of maneuver through this whole entire game. Now, this is kind of like a free to start game. That's kind of what they advertise themselves. In order to get super far into the game, you will probably have to pay for certain things. You have to pay for, different types of bundles, different types of items and things like that. But to kind of get yourself, into the game, it's completely free. There's a lot of downloadable content, like I said, but this is another one of those games that I would probably recommend people to go ahead and download if you want to. And it seems like a solid game for sure to keep in your arsenal for your Switch. Now the fourth game is another game that I'm surprised is free, because it's actually a pretty decent game when it comes down to the features, to everything inside of it. So first of all, it's called Super Kirby Clash. And I talked about this in my other video as well. Now with this game, again, it's kind of like a side-to-side kind of game. So, the graphics are great though. It's kind of like Super Smash, but not really. And I'm surprised that a game at this caliber is actually free, but it makes sense because Nintendo is trying to get a bunch of games out for this thing since there wasn't really any backwards compatibility. Now with this game, you pretty much kind of go ahead and, upgrade your Kirby, you go ahead and fight enemies and all those other type of things. You unlock different things within the game, and I do such a bad job at explaining it, that's why you have to just download it and kind of go on from there. But it's kind of like you unlock new levels, you go ahead and beat up bosses just like any other standard game, and it's also a multiplayer game too that you can go ahead and play online or with people, next to you in real life. So this is another one of those games that you can do. Now I think there is, like I said before, downloadable content that you can go ahead and unlock for, money if you want to pay for it. But I think, as I mentioned before, it's a solid game and it's only like a gigabyte or two, so you're not really spending that much storage on this type of device either. So that's another really good game that I've seen talked about over and over and over again, and it does really seem like a solid, pickup. If you want to go ahead and download it, go for it, and you can just, see for yourself. Now the next game is kind of like a classic. This game is talked about all over the place, and I think it's also available for iPhones and Androids and all those other type of games as well. And this game is called Brawlhalla, and I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this game is. If you don't know, here it is. Basically, it's kind of like a Super Smash Brothers alternative that is for free, which is really cool. So I've been hearing about this game for a long time. It's free pretty much for anyone, which is really awesome. The size of it isn't even that big either, 720 megabytes. That's actually a pretty small size to have in this type of, device. Again, for a lot of Switches out there, it may not be the biggest game you'll have on your Switch, which is really cool. Now you can play up to 8 players at one time, which again, that in and of itself is another pretty big asset for it. You can go ahead and, play with people around you. You can also play online, and I've played online a couple of times, and that's really awesome. There's also single player modes, with 8 free to play characters rotating every week, but I'm pretty sure you can pay for certain other things either. And they mentioned that it's 100% free to play with no pay to win advantages, which is really awesome because there are some games out there that actually, if you go ahead and, pay for certain extras or certain exclusives, it gives you a little bit of an advantage, in terms of the whole entire gameplay and just gaming atmosphere. In this game, that is not the case, which is really awesome. So everyone is on a level playing field, whether you buy some downloadable content or not, you're pretty much set. So that's another pretty big asset for this game as well. So that's Brawlhalla. It's one of my favorite games for sure, and it's one that I will continue to talk about until the Switch is, non-relevant. Now the last game I want to hit on, obviously you guys know this one, Fortnite. That's why I saved it to the end, because everyone already knows it. But I feel like it's kind of important because some people may not even know you can get it on the Switch. But first of all, because iOS and Android, they kind of kicked it off their main app stores, it's kind of an annoyance because you can only really get it on your Switch or other gaming consoles or your MacBook or, other device. So I think for sure, if you have a device like this, getting Fortnite might be the best thing to do. And to be honest, I would probably recommend you all to download Fortnite anyway. It's probably the best thing to do, because if Nintendo ever takes it off their eShop for some reason, at least you'll have a Switch that already has it downloaded. So you're pretty much set in that standpoint. So those are just some of my favorite games that I would recommend people to download on their Nintendo Switch that are for free. If you guys have any games that you would also recommend, let me know in the comment section below. I may just talk about it in the next video, and I may give you credit only if you leave a link down below. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section as well. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.